Hello friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Workshop. We have a Kraft Resophonic Guitar. I didn't look it up to see the age on this, but I think we're talking 20s, 30s, something like that, 1920s, 30s, somewhere in that neighborhood. I really don't know. It could be later, it could be older, for all I know. I don't get into the history of these things, I just fix them. This thing here, the customer had just put brand new strings on it. They brought it to me and they said they didn't like how it was working, you know, and they kind of want to make it like a Dobro. Well, it just has a regular guitar nut on it. It does have the rounder neck on it. You know, you can set them up as a Dobro this way though. It can pull on them a little bit, but it didn't have Dobro strings on it, even though he put brand new strings on it. They were just guitar strings. And this thing inside here is what bothers me the most, is completely crooked. The saddle is, and I'm not hardly exaggerating, it's at an angle like this versus where it should be fairly level, you know. So anyway, I'm going to take it apart, see what's going on inside there. It looks like it's been amateured up quite a bit. So we're going to have to remove a lot of screws. So it's important you get a screwdriver that matches your screw head. This one seems to match them pretty well. I talked to the customer since, and they have changed their mind about buffing this out. So they suggested that I go ahead and buff this out. So I am going to do that. And not that I could improve it all that much. It's just that it's got surface rust, literally just lots of surface rust just sitting on it. And you know, that doesn't help anything. I think if you rub your hand on it, you get rust on your fingers. I mean, it's that bad. So we're going to clean all that up and make it look as good as we can make it look. It won't look like new, and that's not what our goal is. Our goal is to make it look like it's been cared for. And I'm going to put this other little dish inside there and separate these screws because they're different. Oh my goodness. Well, I hadn't run into this before. It's not what I was expecting at all. Maybe you folks that know about these have seen that before, but I did not know it was going to look like that. I thought it was going to have the typical looking Dobro bridge in there. Wow. May have to do a little studying on this to figure out just if that's original. I guess it is. It kind of looks like it's original. But then again, I don't know. This part down here doesn't look original. So I'm going to try to find some photographs of original stuff on this Kraft Resophonic Guitar on the internet. Once I do a little research, then I'll get back to you here and tell you how we're going to hopefully make this thing better. As you can see, and I know it's important, the cone is always important. This cone is just shattered all over. It's got, you know, it's been bent. I don't know if that's going to show up. It doesn't look very good in the viewfinder. It's bent and, you know, hammered all over the place. At the very least, we will straighten all those out and try to get them as smooth and, you know, uniform all the way around. It's also got wrinkles and kinks down in here, which is probably why this thing is sitting so crooked. I searched all over the internet, could not find a picture of the inside of this Resophonic guitar. Got it apart here, and I've started hand molding this back to what I think is the original shape. This was all crushed and flattened around here, where this was still nice and bowed around here. So obviously it should look like this. And I've got it in better shape than it was. And now I'm going to go through and get rid of all the little tiny dents. I've got this tool here has kind of a I don't know, roundish surface on it. And this material is very soft and very thin. And I'm just going to try to just take my time and get every little dent out of it. Well, it looks better. I'll tweak on it and work on that for a while and bring you back once I think I've got it as good as I can get it. I've got a pretty good level on that thing now. It's not perfect by any stretch, but it's really pretty good. It's got a nice round ring all the way around there now, where it was flattened out big time around here. I can still see a little work I need to do in a few areas here, but I'll work on that. Taking this apart here, looks like it's just a regular wood screw. It's going through a couple of plates. This was just a spacer somebody put in there to make it the right height. This part here looks factory. We might just save that part and make a new spacer. I'm going to take this all out here and work on this and try to flatten this back out and get it level. I just noticed something, and there's two holes in the bottom of this, and the bigger hole is the one that this new screw, or this screw, was in. The other hole is more centered, and when I check it with my caliper all the way around, this hole is in the center. So I'm going to rework this and make the center hole the correct hole. The negative here is that this whole ring has been work hardened and it's cracked. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that. That's not good, I know, but I think I'm just going to try super gluing that on both sides and keeping it from cracking any worse. Man, it's in very, very, very brittle shape, but we've got to do better than what's here, or it's not worth doing. Done just about as much hand shaping to this as I can. I went around the little tiny cracked ring and super glued it on both sides. I think that'll help hold it, just give it a little additional support. I've taken a popsicle stick, of all things, and marked the edge on this with a pencil, and it's within a 1/16 of an inch all the way around now, sitting flat on that bottom, and that's way better than it was. It was probably more than a ½ an inch out before. Now it's within a 1/16 of an inch, so it's really getting pretty symmetrical, pretty good. And that little hole, like I told you before, is right in the dead center, and that proves to be correct. As I go around here, it looks like it's just about exactly in the dead center, so that should work good. We'll reuse the original hole. Looking across it now, the thing appears to be flat and level with the top of this, which it wasn't before. It was off by probably a ½ an inch from one side to the other. I mean, it was really bad. So it's pretty level now. It's about as good as I can think to make it. And most all of the wrinkles are out of it now, which makes it look a lot nicer. I turned this little disc down on my lathe, and I had a center hole in there, and I centered the dead center of the lathe on that, and I basically pressure turned it between the headstock and that center, and just pressure turned it down with a tool and then with a file, and so that hole's dead center now, so that's a good thing. And hopefully we would be able to screw all this right back together. Okay. And as I look across that eyeball, maybe you can look across it the same way, it looks pretty flat compared to the rim now. Thought I better get a picture of before and after. You can see in this shiny area I've started buffing it a little bit. Just a little bit of buffing, not very much yet. Now if I just turn it over here in this area, for instance, you can see there's no shine at all. My electric is actually off right at the moment, so I can't really show you this in real time. But obviously this is spinning pretty fast, and this is one of those Stuart McDonald kits, and I mounted it on this stand here. But I've used all kinds of solvents on this resonator cover here, and rust inhibiting solvents and just WD-40. I've tried just about everything. I've used steel wool on it, and at least I've gotten rid of the standing rust. Now it's mostly just tarnished metal where the chrome is gone, and there's just tarnished metal there, but it doesn't look exactly rusty now. Then I took this buffing wheel with the the dark compound, which is the heavier compound. And of course I, coated the wheel really good and buffed it with this as well as I could, and then just cleaned it off. So is it absolutely like a mirror? No, but now it's starting to look like something that's very old that at least has been cared for. Thought I would just show you how this is turning out so far. I spent a lot of time off camera just tweaking all this. When I lay it in here now, I notice that it really does lay in here good. It's almost perfectly flat, which is what I know is critical. You need to make contact everywhere to help spread that sound out. It looks pretty good, and when I look down it this way now, the bridge looks almost perfectly level. If anything now, this side's maybe a hair high, which I think we can adjust by just barely tweaking it there. Looks pretty darn good. Mechanically, this was really a wreck. I mean, it really was. So we've got that in really nice shape now. Everything's bent to the proper shape. The other thing I believe I remember them saying is that they think that the neck might be loose. I haven't really looked at the construction of it lately. I mean, since it came in. I was just mostly focused on this area because I knew this wasn't right. But now that I'm starting to focus on the body, I can see when I just barely put my finger on this end, this is lifting up here. So the neck joint is obviously loose. This is loose. This is the perfect time to get all that re-glued and flexed into the proper position. Maybe you can see the neck joint. Yeah, you can see the neck joint down in there. And it does look like there's a crack right at the bottom of the neck joint where it looks like it's all the way across there. And so I think I can get glue in there really good, maybe even flex the neck a little bit as we glue it so that the neck is pulled down rather than up. And we'll flex it like that when we glue it. Well, you can see I've got the tail end of the fretboard glued down to the top of the guitar. I have it clamped with 4 clamps, 3 of these clamps here, and then I've got just one of those squeeze clamps up here. I also squirted super glue in the crack of the neck joint here and got that glued up real good. I think it's really solid. I studied it a long time, and the best I can tell was, yes, it was loose to the body, but I don't think it was loose to the neck block itself. I'm also, after this is all done, I'm going to get inside there, and I can reach in there pretty good with the super glue, and I'm going to get super glue in the crack of that neck block all the way around and make sure that it's in there, glued in there really good and tight. Previous folks that have worked on this have put some kind of goo, lacquer, glue, I don't know what it is, on here, I guess to take up the slack when the resonator is sitting in there, when the cone is sitting in there. But I'm basically just going to get this all flat again, get rid of all the goo. Well, I don't feel anything there now. It's nice and smooth all the way around there, so I think we got to accomplish the goal. Now I just want to retest fit this to see how that looks. Oh, that's even better. Now it really sets flat. That's nice now. Okay, everything looks good. The only thing that doesn't look good to me is that the bridge is sitting in the back of this slot. Tell you what I'm going to do, just for grins, is I'm going to measure the scale here and see if this thing looks like it's in the right place just by measurement. Made some major improvements to this thing. I mean, major. Okay, I was test fitting everything with all the parts that were here, and it was obvious to me that this has to be homemade. It may have been something like this originally, but it's almost got to be homemade. I looked online, tried to find what was originally in here, couldn't find it. So whoever made this just made it symmetrical. They basically just made the, the side symmetrical, the top flat, and they centered it in this dial that they made, this little button. Well, the problem was when I put it back together with this, it was rubbing on the very back edge of this. I mean, it was rubbing on it hard, like you had to push it forward even. Well, I know that ain't right. So I got to measuring the intonation, and when I took the ruler and measured the intonation from the nut up here to the 12th fret, it was 12 and 7/8, almost exactly. So then when I measured it here, it was about 13 1/4. And I'm going, man, that's a ½ inch off, or it's 3/8 of an inch off. I decided to just scrap what was there. I made all new parts here. In other words, I made this in a single piece. It was 2 pieces before. This round dowel down in here was 2 pieces before. Now it's just one solid piece, made out of a better quality wood too. I made it out of redwood. Redwood's a very resonant wood. I made this out of sycamore, which is a better wood than oak, which is what they made theirs out of. And then I put a piece of deer antler up here on the top. And now that I measure it, it measures exactly on the money. And when I put the lid on it, it's exactly, well, I shouldn't say exactly, but it's very close to dead center on this also. So this thing is in at least, 1,000% better than it was when it came here. I believe we've had the neck all glued up, the neck's finished now, so I believe we're ready to assemble it and string it up and see what this thing can do. Well, here she is. She's all finished. Turned out pretty darn nice. I put the high nut on it so that it could be played like a dobro. I'm pretty sure the customer ought to be happy with that. I did check the intonation, by the way, and the intonation is almost exactly spot on. So it's really close. It couldn't have even been sort of close before. I want to thank you for watching this series on the Kraft Resophonic Guitar, and I hope that you've enjoyed it. Please give me a thumbs up, and I appreciate that very much. It takes a lot of work to put out these videos, so I hope that you don't mind just reaching over and clicking that thumbs up button. So once again, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next video. Thank you.